Check this thing on. If you own your home, the next 12 and a half minutes are going to change your life financially forever. I promise. Check it out. I'm going to explain to you why I broke my mortgage at 1.54% early, paid a penalty, and moved all of my debt into an avenue that effective interest rate is at 7.7% right now. Oh, this guy's a moron. Honey, what kind of mortgage broker is going to advise that? Now, pump the brakes, Karen. Give me a chance to explain. I'm going to ask you, if there's a small fire in front of you, and you had a beer bottle full of fluid, and a pail filled with the same amount of fluid, which would you use to put out the fire in front of you? You'd probably use the pail, because its flow isn't as restricted as it is on the bottle, right?
What the hell are you talking about?
Most mortgages in Canada are structured using a strategy called compound interest. And so what this means is at different stages throughout your mortgage life, there will be interest that's compounded on top of your mortgage. What this means to you as a consumer is that your payments will remain relatively consistent throughout the life of your mortgage. When you absorb all of your debts into one account, it's referred to as a refinance or a consolidation. And you've probably heard those terms thrown around here and there. There's another method of calculating interest, and it's not quite as common as compound interest. The product that I transferred all of my debts into is called the Manulife One. And the Manulife One uses this simple interest structure. And as it's designed to include your payroll going directly into this account, ultimately saving you a ton in interest and a ton in cash flow every single month. Okay, enough of the nerdy talk. How is this going to benefit me? Now let's take a look at an example. I'm going to assume a couple things here just to help paint the picture for you. Your home value is $600,000. Your mortgage amount is $300,000. That mortgage interest rate is at 5.89, fixed, compounded semi-annually. The payments are $24.40 each month, approximately. Your household net income is $10,000 a month. That's the money that's actually coming home. Your credit card is paid off monthly. Your line of credit has a balance of $12,500, and you pay about $400 to that each month. And you have a car loan at $25,000 balance at 5.49% with payments of about $525 each month. As it stands initially, this is probably a comparable situation to yourself in how things are structured with your mortgage, your car loan, your line of credit, and your credit card. So your total debt obligation from everything here totals up to be $33.65 a month. When we take that away from the $10,000 that's coming in each month, it leaves you with about $66.35 remaining each month in cash flow. But you're probably living pretty comfortably at that number.
Oh, decent.
But there's a way that you can pay things off a little bit quicker. Manulife actually has a nice little calculator that when you plug in all the numbers, it compares the way that you're doing things currently to what your situation would look like using the Manulife One, and it lays it out pretty nicely. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so check this out. I've inputted all the information here. So $600,000 home, $300,000 mortgage, 5.49%, monthly payments of $24.40 a month. Now, you'll notice this illustration on the right-hand side. It represents the value of your home. And the green section, including the orange and the yellow, represents the amount as a visual that you can lend against your home. So that would be 80% of the value of the home. When we go to the next page, it asks for savings. When I do this calculation, I generally will leave the savings out of the equation. And the reason for that is, look what happens when I add $10,000 to the other short-term savings section, what it does to the visual on the right-hand side. It directly takes your savings away from your mortgage balance and applies it. I like to leave the savings out of the equation and keep them independent from your debts. So when I go over to the debt section, I've got everything queued in here. So credit cards paid off monthly, yes. Car loan $25,000, $549, $525 monthly payment. Line of credit $12,500, 9.99% interest rate with a monthly payment of $400 a month. No other personal loans or anything else. Let me go to the next page. So this is the cash flow section. It asks for what is your monthly household income after taxes. So that's the amount that's taking in, which I've talked about in the example previously. That number is $10,000. What are your other monthly household expenses? $2,500 is the number that I used. This number is going to be inclusive of your gas, your groceries, your utility bills, regular monthly spending to keep the ship afloat, so to speak. Now, Manulife also has a detailed budget worksheet that you can use as well too, which literally breaks down every dollar that you spend every month. Feel free to use that if you want to. For the sake of this example, I'm estimating the number at about $2,500. Now let's click next and see the results. Your Manulife One number is $85,062.
With Manulife One, you could save that much in interest costs and be debt-free in 4 years, 6 months. That's 10 years, 6 months earlier than your current way. Now, in doing this, in switching everything over to the Manulife One, this actually eliminates any mortgage payment. The way that this account is designed is it's designed to have your pay go directly into the account. And so every dollar that you make is actually working directly towards paying off all of your debts at some point in time. But basically, the obligation of making a mortgage payment every single month goes away and increases your cash flow every single month.
How does this work to help me pay off all my debts so effectively? Why have I not known about it before? It sounds like it's too good to be true.
Now, in the back end, how Manulife calculates this is daily, they will take the balance and they will calculate the simple interest on the outstanding balance at the end of the day. Now, they take, at the end of the month, all of those days combined interest, and they will charge that interest to the account.
I would assume the marketing hasn't been very good on this product by the people who sell it, and it does take a really good explanation to be able to wrap your head around it, because this is an entirely different way of thinking about your debts and paying off your debts than what you've known previously. Now, I want to take a look at the year-by-year cash flow situation quickly, just so that you can have an idea of how the numbers work. Let's take a look.
Okay, so to see the year-by-year cash flow breakdown and how the numbers break down how you're currently doing it versus the Manulife One way, from the results page, you just click the year-by-year cash flow comparison button. And then when you scroll down, you'll actually see the illustration of total principal paid, total interest paid, total ending balance on a yearly basis. So if we look at the current way, we know there's 15 years remaining on your mortgage. There's also going to be your car loan, which will expire after about 5.5, 6 years. And then you've got to pay off your line of credit as well, too. So you'll notice that after about the 5-year mark, the interest in dollars the current way start to get less and less because those products will fall off. When we look at the Manulife One way, you're going to be debt-free in just under 5 years. The amount of principal that you end up paying towards all of your debt is far greater than what you're doing currently. And that's where the big advantage is here. If you notice on the interest, the first year you end up paying a bit more in interest compared to your current way. And naturally that makes sense because the effective interest rate today is 7.7%. If we looked at the following years, year 2, you're still a little bit higher in interest compared to the current way. But year 3, 4, 5, those interest dollars go down a substantial amount. And that's because your pay going into the account, again, chunks off all the debt in a very aggressive fashion.
Now I'm going to go back to the analogy that I mentioned earlier with the fire, the pail, and the beer bottle. In that analogy, the fire is your debt. The beer bottle is the way that you're currently paying off of your debts. The pail is the Manulife One, and the fluid inside both of those is your income. The beer bottle really doesn't help you put out the fire fast when you have the pail as an option. Now think about this example for a second. If you had $10,000 coming into your account every single month, 10,000 times 12, that's $120,000 on the year. Even if you spent half of that money every single month, that would be $60,000 on the year going towards all of your debts. If you took that $60,000 and applied it to your total debt of $337,500, in theory, you'd be paid off in just over 5 years, if there was zero interest charged. So by putting everything into one account, it's a true scenario of money in and money out. And it's as simple as your finances can be. So now I have access to this massively large line of credit, and I like to spend. So how am I ever going to limit myself? Now, my wife and I are probably the prime example of if there's credit available, we're going to spend on it. And that's what we did prior to the Manulife One. Now, fortunately, we're in a position where we make enough that we can afford to do that. Not everybody is in as fortunate a situation as we are. Now, I have a strategy in how we're going to stay in budget each month and not max out our line of credit all the time. And it's using a product called the Manulife One Money Visa Card. Okay, do you have shares in Manulife? It seems like you work for them. Don't work directly for Manulife, but I am a mortgage broker, so I am affiliated with them, certainly. I truly believe that if this product is utilized properly, it can be very beneficial for every consumer. So our strategy is that we're going to set our limit, let's say it be a $5,000 limit on our Visa card. That will be our monthly budget. And on there, we're going to pay for our bills, our gas, our groceries, all of our regular expenses, and the majority of our spending is going to go through that Manulife Visa card. Once we receive our statement in the mail each month, We then pay it off with our Manulife One, also known as our debit card. There's going to be times throughout the year where, as an example, I'm self-employed. I have to pay my income taxes once a year. That's a big major purchase. I'm not going to put that on my Visa card. I'm going to use the Manulife One for that. And there's going to be situations where there are those major purchases, your kids' hockey fees or something of that nature. Maybe you're buying a vehicle, whatever it is, use the Manulife One for those major purchases. But those aren't regular things. Those are once a year, once every 5-year type of situations. Now, if you recall the example that I put up on the calculator, I estimated the monthly household expenses to be about $2,500 a month. $2,500 times 12, that's $30,000 on a yearly basis. So the Manulife One has a charge to the account every single month, similar to how your bank's checkings account would be. It's $16.95 a month.
But wait! There's more!
When you use the Manulife One Visa card, there's a couple of benefits. So when you apply for it and you get approved, the first year's fee on the credit card, if applicable, as well as the Manulife $16.95 fee, is waived for the first year. After that first year, if you spend $20,000 on that card in that given fiscal year, those fees get waived for the following year. So in moving over to the Manulife One, we've actually moved into a situation of no-fee banking.
But wait! There's more!
Now, once you've paid off the deficit in your Manulife One, and that account now becomes a surplus, what ends up happening is you gain an interest rate. And I think as of right now, it's in between 2 and 3% on that account. You now move into an account that has a better interest rate than most bank savings accounts out there.
But wait! There's more!
The last benefit of all of this is that this credit card actually pays you cash back based on where you spend and how much you spend. So you'll get a percentage credited back to the card at the end of the year. For myself and my wife, this was an absolute no-brainer for us to do. If you learned something today, I'd appreciate it if you liked the button down below and told your friends about this. I'm gonna go to your profile and message you right away. I can be reached at any one of my social media avenues, and I'll make sure that I link that down below so that it's easy for you to get a hold of me. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.